A very good evening and namaskar. I am Devanshi Sharma, your host and your दोस्त. तो आज हम एक बहुत ही स्पेशल सेशन लेके आए हैं हमारे झांसी के स्टार्टअप्स के लिए. सो अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम ऑन द बिहाफ ऑफ झांसी स्मार्ट सिटी लिमिटेड एंड राइस झांसी इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर. तो आज के हमारे सेशन के हमारे गेस्ट हैं एंड स्पीकर हैं मिस्टर प्रणय श्रीवास्तव, सीईओ एंड फाउंडर ऑफ स्टार्टअप पंखुड़ी. सो आज हम इस सेशन में जानेंगे कि स्टार्टअप क्या होते हैं, क्या स्टार्टअप्स के एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरियाज होते हैं और कैसे आप अपने स्टार्टअप को आगे लेके जा सकते हैं. सो टू स्पीक ऑन दैट वी हैव मिस्टर प्रणय. ओवर टू यू प्रणय.
Hello, all. Thank you, Devanshi, for this opportunity to help young startups and let them know how early stage entrepreneurship look like. So basically, I am Pranay Srivastav. I come from a tier 3 city, which is Jhansi, and I've built 3 startups ground up, where I've raised multiple funding rounds, starting from seed checks of 5 lakh rupees, going up to 23 crore rupees worth of check from different kind of investors across India and US and international investors also. So basically, I would love to share my point on basics of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is basically not a startup, is basically not a small business. It's more like a rocket ship, or more like a growth oriented project where the end result, or where the company that you are building is more like a company which has potential to impact millions of lives, or which has potential to create a lot of impact in the current system, like you see Ola, you see Swiggy. So basically, it is a the difference between a startup and a small business is basically, when you do a small business, you have a business plan which reaches uh, like a smaller audience, or which is a small business plan, and it's a slow paced thing. Whereas how startups are different is that it is a company which is solving problem, which is catering to mass audience, or which is solving real world problems and चेंजिंग द करंट सिचुएशन. मतलब अगर कोई चीज़ आज किसी तरीके से होती है और उसको लाखों लोग यूज़ करते हैं, तो जैसे फूड डिलीवरी, या फिर जैसे कि कैब बुकिंग, या फिर जैसे कि ग्रॉसरी डिलीवरी, और मे बी वी कैन से फ्लिपकार्ट, वी कैन से एनी कंपनी विच हैज़ पोटेंशियल टू इम्पैक्ट मिलियंस ऑफ लाइफ and create a business over there, is a startup. So startups, a difference between a small business and startup, and another way is that small business have business partners, whereas startup have VCs. So VCs are venture capitalists who do high risk investment so that they can get high returns. So usually in small businesses, you say you get 2x return, or you get profit sharing model, whereas in a VC led business, or whereas we say when it's a startup, it is more like where you can even give 100x return to the people who have signed early checks for you. So most important is that there has to be a problem that has to be solved. Then there has to be a clear focus on your vision, that okay, where you have to go, what is that how your business will evolve at like in coming stages, and कैसे आप उसको इवॉल्व कर करके एक पूरी जर्नी, जहाँ पे आप रियली एक कंपनी, जैसे लाइक वी से $1 billion वैल्यूएशन, और वी से यूनिकॉर्न वैल्यूएशन, और वी से $1 million वैल्यूएशन, आप जहाँ पे एक मिनिमम $100 million की कंपनी क्रिएट कर सकते हो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड. So that kind of problem, if you are able to identify and work on it, so that is where startups come into the picture. And the word startup basically is mostly catering to this kind of founders generally. So yeah, like I said, that startup versus small business, that growth is the biggest differentiator. That whereas a small business might touch 10,000 users in 1 year, whereas where you are a startup, you will try to touch 1 million users in a year, because it's a very fast-paced market. And thanks to internet, there are a lot of startups coming and reaching out to mass audience, thanks to Facebook, Google, different kind of marketing channels, either experimenting it at a small level or sending it to like millions of users. It's very easy. You just have to have the right team. Uh, most important thing at a early stage startup is like what do VC think, or what do people look at an early stage startup usually is the team. That okay, what are those four people, or what are those three people who trust you, that okay, yes, I'll be giving you the next 3 years of my life, and I'll be maybe compromising on the salaries, or I'll be maybe compromising on my lifestyle, but I'll be building something which requires a lot of attention, a lot of innovation. But at the end of 3 years, the output that I'll be getting is will be a huge company of maybe 600 people working, or 2,000 people working, or maybe Swiggy, which has 6,000 people working, Paytm, which has 15,000 people working in just 12 years of being into the business. So that is one thing. And apart from this funding, that anybody who is coming to invest in a startup is coming with a mindset that okay, this is a high risk, I'll do 100 investments, out of these two investments will become Flipkart, and my 98 investment will fail, but these two investment will give me so much of return that my overall portfolio will be like, let us say, up to 6x return, or maybe my overall portfolio will be at 100x return, because I just need those two companies from my portfolio. So it's a completely different investor base. The investor also is coming with a completely different mindset. Traditional investors are not the right startup investors. So basically, these are the two major difference between a small business and a startup. So at early stage, I've been to a multiple incubation. So there is YC program where there was a wheels. My previous company, which was Wheel Street. So we have been incubated at YC, Y Combinator, which is one of the biggest incubator globally. So what is an incubation center is that it gives you an environment where you can meet like-minded people, you can discuss your problems, then it gives you connect to people who are interested in investing in your startup. You can get solve problems by getting connected to people who have worked in similar segments. So let us say if I am starting mobility, and if I'm in an incubation center, so the incubation team can help me connect to different people who have worked in the mobility segment in the past, so that I can uh, get learn from their mistakes, and I can be a little faster. Apart from this funding support, early stage support, all these things is what we get at our incubation center. So coming to that, we get infrastructure and co-working space. We all know that we always have tight pockets when we start a startup, because mostly the first round of funding come from friends and families or incubation centers, which is a small round, and you always want to put that money into obtaining, getting users, or getting your MVP, or getting your first product right. So when you get into an incubation program, you save on a lot of expenses which you have to do if you're not getting into an incubation program, like getting an internet connection, funding support, mentorship, uh, different legal compliances, which is a very important point that you have to, like when you're getting into something which is going to be a $100 million company, then you have to be sure at day one that okay, my legal and compliances, my IPs, everything is secure, and I am working like a $1 billion company works. My every document is on place. And apart from this, team formation and even prototyping, like smart city and startup India is creating a lot of facilities to give prototyping also, like 3D printers. So you cannot really afford a 3D printer at an early stage if you're into a hardware startup, but whereas you can get a 3D printer at an incubation center, and you can experiment it without going, like I remember when we were building a bike which was a keyless bike in Bangalore, where any bike can be unlocked through the app. So that time we used to go to Commercial Street, which is a very busy market in Bangalore, and we used to get 3D printed from there. And then there was some problem. Then we used to again go there, which was very far, and like entire day was wasted. Whereas if I had this opportunity of being at an incubation center at that time, so I would have that 3D printer at my place, and I would do that iterations while building MVP. MVP is basically minimum viable product, which you which gives you confidence that okay, this is something which is working for me, this is something which my users are using, this is something where my some of the funnel where is completing, where the loop is completing, so that is a MVP. So you can get a MVP support. There can be some person in the incubation center who can come and tell you that no, it's not required that you make a full-fledged app, and you can just start from making a small app which gives you confidence and which is your basic need. So these kind of support and being uh, in collaboration with government of India. So government of India is really doing a lot of things to increase the number of startups in India and to develop skills. So you get the networking, you get to get government support, you get to get product launch stages. So these are the things where you which you get through incubation centers. uh, there are a lot of incubation center, and they have always added a lot of value in the early stages of a startup journey. And if we see majorly the success rate, so like a lot of we always say that okay, there's only one startup that comes out of 100 startup, but if we see that out of this 7-8 lakh startups in India, if there are 3-4 thousand successful startups, these 3-4 thousand, I think majority of them have had some mentor or incubation center at their early stage, which has helped them to save money and not do wrong decisions and get the right connect. So it is a very important thing that you get in the right incubation center at the early stage, so that you get that environment and not really work alone from a garage anymore.
Right.
uh, so
Pranav, sorry to interrupt. As everybody knows, and अगर किसी viewer को नहीं भी पता हो, so I just wanted to ping कि your startup जो था वो Y Combinator world's first जो बहुत ही known incubation center है Y Combinator में गया. So if you can just share that experience कि वो कैसा था, कैसे उसने hand holding की आपके startup की, then वो series A funding तक भी गया. So if you can shed some light on that.
Yeah. So basically, Y Combinator was Wheel Street, and in Pankhuri also we were at Surge, which is the incubation center by Sequoia. So I'll share both. So Y Combinator, when you get into a incubation center, what they majorly see is that what is your energy, what is your confidence of building, why, what is your reason of building, and that is something. But after 2 months, like Airbnb was there, which was also from Y Combinator. We have all heard of Airbnb, which is a very big company. So you get partners. So when we went into YC, there was a structure that there were partners, and that those partners spend a lot of time with you, like in refining your pitch, in making sure that okay, you're focusing on the right thing. Because when like when someone starts for the first time, we all dream big that okay, we are building this, and it will be an ecosystem. But while building business, you have to first prove yourself, your thing. So you have to focus on one of the segment, and then put like we say it inch wide mile deep. So you have to pick up your segment, that what is your inch mile deep segment, where you can really put your efforts and build your business around it. So many times around YC, your business model also changes, your pitch also refines what are those points that are not really required in your pitch deck when you're going for a fundraise. So you remove the partners who have helped hundreds of companies build. They help you in removing those points. They tell you okay, whether this round is correct or not, uh, whether this investor is coming from your segment or not, because investor is someone with whom you will be sharing that journey for the next 10 years, whether he has the understanding of the market. YC also, so you get a lot of material, like which is like perks, that you get free AWS credits, you get free different kind of perks that usually these incubators do partnership on behalf of those startups. So you get those perks. And for us, it was a 3 months program. And from day one, it was in San Francisco. We used to sit with 50 other people, 50 other teams. And these teams, someone was working in biosciences, someone was working in pharmacy, someone was working in manufacturing, someone was working in e-commerce, someone working in social network. So you get to discuss your ideas with good brains all around. And then every evening when you do whiteboarding, there is someone who comes in and gives a lot of contribution to your current ideas or to your mistakes. So that was the biggest pick. And apart from this, at the end of which we at the graduation of like after 3 months, when you are graduated from YC, so at that time you get connected to thousands of investors, because these investors trust you when you're coming from an incubation center, that okay, this has been refined by someone. There has been a person who has spent 3 months with you. So they get an initial confidence that okay, due diligence is also in place, because it has already been into one panel. So yeah, apart from this, Surge also, if we say Surge also have similar kind of perks, like all the big investors. So Sequoia is invested in mostly all of the companies in India, whichever you see, are from CCD to I would say Swiggy, any company that you see, even Facebook and WhatsApp, Sequoia has invested in all of this company. So what you get is that like we are talking right now, and I'm able to share some of my experiences. So you get to listen from people who have built Flipkart. They're coming and they're doing a town hall, and people are sitting around and they're asking their questions. You also, if you want to connect, you can also ask some of your partner that, okay, can I get a connected Flipkart? So these are the connects that, okay, I'm doing a e-commerce sales thing. If I can get connected to someone at Flipkart. So all these things is what we got at Surge. Also, apart from this, you get a stage where you are like, so at the end of the batch, you get these 16 startups were in our batch, and you get a stage where you are presenting yourself that we are a startup. So these are the major perks that we get. That one is refinement of your business model and deck. Second is basically the right connects, which is contacts. And then again, a lot of freebies, which is perks, sitting space, friends, coffee, all these things is on top of it. So startup accelerator, again, it helps you accelerate your journey to MVP. So where so it speeds up. So basically, if I am building it, I will be doing it alone in a garage like Facebook was started. But basically, when I get an accelerator, I can speed up by not spending time on things that are not correct. So this is the biggest mistake, and it's money also. You end up spending money, end up doing ads without having the right MVP. So where you end up spending your 5 lakh rupees, and then you realize, okay, where my money is gone. But if you have the right accelerator, you will not do that mistakes, and you will save that 5 lakh rupees, which you can use in creating that product. So So when to start a startup, basically, first thing is that you have your own confidence, which is the most important thing. You have your career goal, your personal financial goal, all are aligned, and you're focused that, okay, I'm ready to give three years to this if it is a risk, and if it works, then to I'm ready to give my life to it. So when you're sure, it's not like that you have a period of 1 year and let's say I'm preparing for cat, let's start a startup, and all. It's not like that. You have to be sure, then only you'll be able to build business and give value to the people who are investing in you, right? And basically, there is no correct time to start a startup. Oyo Ritesh Malik from Oyo, he started at the age of 19. I started Wheel Street at the age of 21. And then we have seen people like KFC is always there, that he started after retirement. And there are a lot of people who are at mid 40s who have worked in different corporates, and then they come back to India, and then they do startups. So there's not really the right age to it. You just have to have confidence in yourself, your idea, the right team, and of course you have to have that financial capacity to take that, to bear that things. That's why people say that if you start young, then your expenses are low. Or after when you start, when someone other is also earning at your family, or you have a lot of savings, because you always have to make sure that you don't have to quit your journey even if you're doing good because of some financial issues, because of your EMIs. So and yeah, so you should always start early if possible. If like nowadays I've seen that a lot of young entrepreneurs, Zepto also, they are also from YC. So they are just 20. I think they were just 19-year old. They were from Stanford. They started, and now Zepto is more than $1.6 billion valuation. So biggest thing is that when you are in college, or when you are in just graduated from college, that is when you are looking for a job. At that time, your family is there to support you in all these kind of things, and you are not in the cycle of EMIs, or you're not in the cycle of having a decent lifestyle. You can have a normal room, and you can make that your office also. You can make that your sleeping place also. So that is there. And of course, youthfulness, the energy that a 20-year-old has, whereas the energy that a 40-year-old has, there's a lot of difference that he can. 18, 21-year-old entrepreneur can stretch it till 3 a.m., sleep at 3 again in the morning, pick the laptop again and start working again. Whereas if you're at 40, you have to maintain your lifestyle. You have to go to gym, you have to make sure that your health is in place. You are not taking a lot of stress, because you know it is a very stressful journey, because you have to take decisions. um, So you should always start early. And most of the success stories are from early startups only, because if you fail, you can again start. So like we failed at Beale Street, so we again started Pankuri. So there's always a scope that okay, after building something from your learning, you build again, and never feel um, bad to fail, because startups are meant to fail. It gives you learning, because only it is the truth. That is the major difference between a small business and a startup, is that if a startup fails, it is not a failure. It is a learning curve. It is a market validation. It is a market analytics for the VCs also, that okay, kitne riders hai India mein, what is that number of bikes that we have. So all this data is also collected. Of course, media coverage as well. So startup pros, if you are energetic, there are a lot of pros, and if you don't lose your confidence, then most of the startups are successful. If you're planning your financials well, if you're planning your runway well, if you are not getting demotivated by small failures, if you're always there, then most of the startups you will reach somewhere. So a series A startup that is shut down is also a successful founder. If you see big companies like Snapdeal. So Snapdeal was so big back 4 years back, and now they are at like a very smaller valuation. But if you see Kunal Bahel, so he has a own VC firm, Titan VC. He has invested in multiple companies. He has a very good mentor. So you really not fail. So that you take that risk, you that get that ownership, you get that profile, that whether you are going for a job also at the age of 30. So people say, okay, you're coming from a startup background, you have hired 100 people, you have managed MISs. So at that time you get a lot of uh, priority over other resumes, so you never fail. So that is the biggest pro. You and if you get a lot of, after early success, you get a lot of recognition in your society and relationships also, because it's a business in relatives family also, because it's a business. So you see that okay, there are news articles coming about you, so they also see, they, so it's a lot of validation that you create for yourself. And your decision making skills take place. You have to take a lot of decisions, whether sometimes there will be a very good check that is coming in your place, but it is not coming from the right person. So there you have to take a major decision. Okay, should I take this money or should I wait for 2 more months? So these kind of decisions you learn to take. Sometimes you learn from your mistakes, and sometimes you take the right decision. And it's always there that if you want to own a big car, you have to do a business. So yes, you always, when your startup is hit, there is always secondary sale of shares. So when you cross your series B stage, after this, that secondary share sale starts. So if I say that after raising 50 million in a series B round, I'll be able to get around 1 million in my one person selling. So this is where the money comes from, and that's immediately you get around 20 crore, 25 crores, 80 crores in one go, which is impossible for a service person to save in their lifetime. Whereas a 28-year-old boy who has struggled for 6 years get that 20-25 crore rupees of exit, which is just a partial exit, secondary sale. So that makes you a lot of rich. Then you become a VC, and you become an investor also. You fulfill all your dreams. And then workplace atmosphere also, you are able to create the kind of atmosphere you want to create. You can create a funky atmosphere for marketing team. You can create a target based atmosphere for a sales team. You get to create a different kind of workplace atmosphere, because it's a smaller team. You try to bring them together, you try to put culture in the work, so that the efficiency is increasing, instead of putting in tables and charts to make sure that okay, this is your PIP, this is your exit. So instead of this, you try to bring in more town halls to encourage people to discuss more things, right? Cons. So everything in this world have pros and cons. There's nothing in this world which has pros and cons. So biggest con is that you fail. Failure, and people take it in a very negative way, but I think that you should always take failure as in a positive way, and you should never stick to your startup. So if I'm saying that we have seen a lot, like I've seen a lot of companies in the last 10 years. I've started my company in 2013, and in 2023 I've seen a lot of companies. So you should never stick to your startup. So for VC also, he has 100 companies, so he will not be able to see all the 100 companies. He will not put his brains on the company which is not really working, or which is not really growing at least 3x per month, or wherever there is a good revenue growth. So you should also not stick to that company, stick to that idea, and you should be uh, able to accept that failure as soon as possible and jump to your next startup or jump to your pivot your business model. Talk to your investors that okay, I don't think that it is growing. So that is where the real problem comes in for early stage founders, that okay, I have a lot of confidence that okay, a taxi business will work. But if tomorrow, 1 year later, I see taxi business not working, I've already raised some capital, but after that, after 2 years, my revenue is still at 20 lakh per month, and 2 years back also my revenue was at 20 lakh rupees per month. So this is the stage where this is not a startup anymore. This is more like a small business, but the person who has invested more like a startup. For so you have to have that courage. Like we have seen this company Slice Pay, which is like now a bank also, 1.6 billion valuation, I believe. So they were a bike rental company earlier. They realized okay, this is not working out. They pivoted to uh, a credit card for finance company immediately. So never stick to your idea. Ideas are secondary. So that is where you get into the depression or negative zone, that why is not working, I'm doing everything, I'm working so hard, how has that worked? Maybe it is not the right time, maybe you are too early for this market, maybe there are better teams, maybe your tech is not up to the mark, maybe you have just missed the bus, somebody else has built it. So after that you have to move to the next bus and you have to decide okay, now what I have to do. If you stick to that company, it will always give you stress. And yes, apart from this struggle, you have to live like, we have seen that ShareChat, which is a very big company, you must have learned of ShareChat and Moj. So they used to, when these three founders started from they were also incubated at India Quotient. So when they started from incubation center, they used to sleep there. There was a breakfast, they used to eat that. So at early stage, there are a lot of, and they were all from IIT, leaving 1 CR plus of packages. They must have different kind of life at San Francisco at that point in 2014. Now they have a different life altogether because they've built big companies, which is, I think ShareChat is the most valued Indian social network. It is, which is around $3 billion. So you have to sacrifice. You don't have money for auto, you don't have money for watching a movie out of, you don't have money to buy a 1500 rupees recliner, and you are sacrificing this. Whereas if you go in a job, you get that 15, because you have that talent that people will also hire you. If you have that talent of raising funds, building companies, getting people to work with you, giving them confidence that okay, I'm starting a company, will you work with me? So you're definitely a good resource or a very enterprising person. So that is again thing. And long workings are, because it is always on top of your mind that okay, I have to do this also, I have to do this also, I have to arrange light also, I have to buy inverter also, I have to hire for MBA also, I have to hire for digital marketer also, I have to do SEO also, I have to get uh, like supply side also, I have to get demand side also, I have to do compliances also, I have to sign legal documents also. So it's a lot of work. You have to work 15-16 hours a day to achieve something, because everybody who is getting into this market is doing this. So if you are not doing this, then you kind of fail. And there are like a lot of people working on the same idea at the same time, and the idea holds the least weightage in a journey of a startup. Idea is always secondary. How much hours you are putting in, what is uh, your strategy, what is your business plan, what is your runway, all these things are the, what is your team, what are the people who are working with you, will they stick with you for the next 3 years, or are they just joining you because you are giving them first job and they join you and leave you in 3 months. So basically those are the most important thing, and there are no cons as such, because when you come out from after building this, you always come out good. So for ideas, so there are a lot of, you should never, basically I was saying, you should never stick with your idea, because ideas, there are a lot of ideas and every idea is a good idea. If you're like, there is no idea which is bad. If you say that okay, I will send a spaceship in to moon, so that is also being done by private companies and startups now in India. So if I tell this to someone sitting outside, I live in Jhansi and I go to the nearest shop and I say कि मैं स्पेस में स्पेसक्राफ्ट भेजूंगा 3 साल में, तो बेसिकली लोग बोलेंगे कि ये तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, कि ये कुछ भी बोल रहे हो आप. But there are people who are doing this from tier 2 in India, raising capital, and I think there have been successful launch also. And there are a lot of startups who have helped in Chandrayaan 3 also. So India is doing really good in space center also, space sciences also. There are companies which are agri-tech who help farmers forecast ki what will be the rain, and they're creating an app. There are startups who are helping. There is a very big company which is helping to buy and sell cows. So basically, if I say ki I am doing an idea of buying and selling cows, it looks so small. But when it comes to the ground, it's a huge idea. People are selling cows worth 7 lakh rupees. There's a huge fleet of cows. So it can be any idea. And but you have to things that you have to keep in mind is that does my expertise lies in this area? Do I, if it's a tech business, do I have tech expertise? If it is a rural business, do I have rural expertise? Do I have the right team? And there are a lot of so we should do a lot of reading. If we are doing a startup anytime, that reading should be a very important part. There are so many good books around startup. There are so many good articles there, Your Story, INC42, TechCrunch. So you keep seeing that, okay, what is happening in this world, what are the metrics they are talking about, what is, and then you have to always work on the smallest MVP for that idea and get market validation, because you will be able to raise money on the smallest market validation if you have cracked the right idea. So it is at early stage, it is always the founder. It is very less, I would say it must be 70 to 30 ratio, that 70% the founder's success and idea has pivoted, and 30% the idea has remained the same, and the business has pivoted. But you should always know your end goal, that okay, my end goal is to impact, like finance. So my end goal is to impact the finance market, because once you have become big, like Cred is now doing lending also. Cred is now doing um policy management also. And whereas it started with a credit card payment app which was giving coins, but its biggest revenue is coming from lending. So your core has to remain solid, that okay, my supply chain management is my core. Now at beginning it can be anything, but if you see Flipkart, it is like Flipkart or Amazon, supply chain management is the core. That okay, warehousing, where am I keeping my stuff, how am I delivering in five I, nowadays to it's same day delivery also in a lot of cities, I'm delivering. So supply chain management, so these kind of things is where it comes from. There are a lot of, as I was telling, that TechCrunch, Your Story, there are different idea request also comes. YC also has this thing which is called a request for startups. So they also keep putting innovative ideas where you can pick from. But what problem you can solve, what problem you have seen, what is that people want, is there an alternate to these are multiple questions that you have to ask yourself while evaluating your idea. And for bringing you to the right idea, accelerators and incubators come into the picture. That okay, I have an idea ki I have to start a cab service in Jhansi, but when you come to incubator, he will say that use e-rickshaw in Jhansi. And then you say okay, do I will bring drivers in and I will loop in drivers. But if you have a right mentor, he will tell you, okay, for the first 3 months or for first some rides, you have to control your fleet. Like when Uber was launched in India, the cabs were absolutely clean. So you have to control your fleet. So these kind of things is basically brainstorming with people sitting at the incubation center. So no idea is big, no idea is small, everything is good. Uh, so some of the ideas that are like good right now is digital library, Ola, Uber, Rapido, or something else, food delivery services. It can be anything which you see around you and where your expertise lies. And never, मतलब I've seen a lot of people who are investing, मतलब जिनका MVP लॉन्च नहीं हो पा रहा होता है, कि जैसे मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मुझे फॉर एग्जांपल local OTT platform launch करना है. So you can start it from YouTube. Like if you want to streaming channel, you can start it from Facebook and YouTube. You can start getting your early audience that okay, this is my early audiences. But sometimes people think I will have the craziest app, OTP verification भी होगा, उसमें personal profiling भी होगी, उसमें AI भी होगा, उसमें single user interface भी होगा, उसमें क्या आपको पसंद है कंटेंट, अगर आपने लास्ट टाइम मलयाली कंटेंट देखा है तो आपको नेक्स्ट टाइम मलयाली कंटेंट ही रिकमेंडेशन में आएगा. तो ये सब जब आप एमवीपी में सोचने लग जाते हो तो आप उसमें अपना पैसा भी खराब कर देते हो, टाइम भी खराब कर देते हो. तो बेसिकली like Moj, which is share chat, I remember they have changed. I think there's an article also, so you have to do a lot of reading. So they have changed 6 to 7 ideas. They used to build product overnight. They are great developers. They used to build product in 3 4 5 days. They used to change the idea. They used to put it in the market, see how the early traction is coming. If it is not working, they used to iterate the idea. Pivot is the key to success. It's what is called. So all the ideas are good. Your confidence is the major thing. Uh, so yes, how to shortlist idea, write down problem, like where, what is the root of that idea, where do you, how do you reach to that idea? So that is problem. For bike rentals, I moved to Delhi. I was not having a bike. I used to go, I always thought that if I can get a bike on rent. So that's when we said that okay, let's launch a bike rental. But then I didn't go for that. Okay, I need a full-fledged website. First thing I did was register myself on Quicker and Justile. So that I start getting calls. Okay, yes. Then first I got a call from customer. Then I reached out to vendor. Then you have to see that what are the problems. Basically, what is the customer that you want. Exactly. So basically, you think about technical feasibility. You think about, okay, can this be built right now? Is it too early or is it too late for this? How much money do you need really? What is your pocket allow? Always have 6 to 8 to 10 months of runway in your mind. Don't think that okay, I will have 5 lakh rupees in my account today, and I put that 5 lakh, and tomorrow kahin se paisa aa jayega. Always have 6 7 months of money, that okay, this is my money in my pocket. If I have 5 lakhs in my pocket, I can only invest 30,000 in building the app right now, because tomorrow if this app doesn't work, I may have to put 30,000 more. And in this way, you put that journey and you plan out everything. Think about compliances. So for us at bike rental, there was a very big issue. At some states there were no yellow number plate like you see in Goa, you see in Bangalore. So that was a compliance issue. So is it a legal idea? Is it a valid idea? People betting, gambling, a lot of states don't allow gambling. You want to start a gambling app, which state is your target audience? Now there is a 28% tax also in betting. So is it making the same unit economics? So everything has to come in your pen paper copy or Excel sheet or drive, whichever is your comfort level. So you have to think of 3 years, 5 years, what can go wrong, what is good, everything correct without before getting money from someone. Because once you get money from someone, it is your duty that you oblige to that money, that it is being in the right place. You can just kind of say, okay, I took the money, I did this, and today I've dropped it. So all these things has to be done on paper, which is usually called case studies, which you learn in MBA also. That कैसे किसी भी एक मॉडल को आप पूरा डिफाइन करते हो, उसके फनल्स बनाते हो, आपका यूजर कहाँ से आएगा. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप ई कॉमर्स स्टार्ट कर रहे हो तो 25 रुपीज़ का एक यूजर आता है, तो आप बोलोगे कि 1000 यूजर चाहिए, तो 25,000 रुपीज़ का यूजर आएगा. उसमें 7% यूजर आपका ऐसा है जो चेकआउट कार्ट पे आता है, तो फिर आपका 25,000 में सिर्फ 70 लोग हैं जो आपको कार्ट, उसमें से 10 लोग बाय करते हैं. सो अल्टीमेटली 25,000 रुपीज में 10 है, तो 2500 रुपीज का एक परचेज आया. सो इस तरीके के फनल्स. बेसिकली नाउ मेरी डिलीवरी कॉस्ट क्या है? सो मैं पार्सल कॉस्ट इज 100 रुपीज, माई पैकेजिंग कॉस्ट इज 100 रुपीज. So 200 रुपीज मेरा एक्स्ट्रा कॉस्ट है ओवर द प्रोडक्ट विच इज नॉट इन द offline market. So now I'm spending 200 also. So that is come into business plan. So then you understand, okay, this is something feasible. And who are the bigger competitors? Who are the small competitors? Uh, will I be able to compete with Flipkart if I start selling mobiles online today? No. But will I be able to? But yes, there are a lot of companies who have created their own verticals by having a separate niche. कि ये एक सेगमेंट है, जिस सेगमेंट से अगर मैं बन जाता हूँ, आप एक बार 10 करोड़ रुपए का मंथली टर्नओवर सेल्स करने लग गए, तो फिर आप बहुत सारी चीज़ों में केपेबल हो. बट वो उस तक की जर्नी में कि मैं क्या वो नीश कौन सा है जिसको मैं पकड़ूं. सो दैट इज समथिंग, ऑल द थिंग्स दैट यू हैव टू सी, एंड a proper deck which is a 15 20 30 50 slider deck which you have to make for yourself. Out of that, 15 slider deck will come for the VC, but for yourself you have to make that 50 slider deck just where you cover everything in broad, go through it again and again and again, and ultimately you reach there कि this is something which I feel confident about. Or there are incubators and accelerators that help you in doing all these things only with your idea, which is iterating, helping you build deck, helping you find the problems, helping you in compliances, thinking about technical feasibility. So all these things are helped by incubations and accelerators as well. So a lot of case studies I discussed also. Um, so Dell, we all know, we all know Facebook, we all know Amazon, he's the richest person um, across globe. uh, Even we know Elon Musk, he has built PayPal, he is a migrant and he came to US, and in one life he's the richest person, whereas it requires 3 4 generations to get storage. So it is that risk. uh, Dell had the idea of start selling personal computer. We should also watch these movies. So there is this movie, Social Network, which is based on how Facebook was built. There's this movie Apple, Steve Jobs movie called Jobs, which is built on how Apple was built, how Steve Jobs went to Dell and has these discussions. There are a lot of movies that come in, and these movies give you a lot of motivation and gives you that how these companies have iterated, how these companies have tackled legal issues, how does success look like. So well, computers were a real hit. So back then, so everybody was building computers. People thought that okay, now we need computers at home. So Dell bought computers at everybody's home, because earlier the computers were big, then they started getting smaller. Similarly, Micromax is a big company in India now. It was started by three friends. So they started with that we want big battery for India. So they put all the focus on the batteries at that time. There was nobody who was selling mobiles back then. Now there's Vivo, Oppo, all these things. But if you look back 10 years back, Micromax was one of the biggest mobile manufacturer in India. So they built a company at the right time, and we have all seen how the valuation shoot up. He also married Asin. We all know that. Um Yeah, failing is not something you never fail at a startup. You will only fail if you put yourself tied to the old idea, or keep getting yourself, never put yourself as a mortgage, or you ever put yourself in a place where you say okay, I'm putting my guarantee that this startup will work, I'm putting my family's guarantee, I'm taking a loan, personal loan, because these are not startups. If I have to open a franchisee, I will take that home loan. But if I'm building a company which has to be a rocket ship, like nothing less than 100 million or maybe $50 million also is a startup, because the VC is coming with a mindset that this will give me high return because I'm investing in a pre-idea stage, or a pre-MVP stage, or a pre-revenue stage, or a early revenue stage. So uh, never feel bad to fail. Basically, that's pretty much. If there are any questions, I'd love to have it.
थैंक यू सो मच प्रणय सर. एज वी आर रनिंग आउट ऑफ टाइम, क्वेश्चंस इस बार हम लोग नहीं ले पाएंगे. बहुत सारे अप्रिसिएशंस कमेंट में आए हैं. सो थैंक यू सो मच प्रणय सर फॉर दिस वंडरफुल सेशन. आज मुझे लगता है हमारे स्टार्टअप्स बहुत सारी लर्निंग लेके जाएंगे इस सेशन से. सो क्विक, मैं स्टार्टअप्स को बताना चाहूँगी कि राइज झांसी इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर बहुत ही जल्द ओपन होने वाला है. सो जो भी लोगों ने, जिनके पास भी स्टार्टअप आइडिया है, वेदर वो अभी वर्किंग है नहीं है, सो वी आर देयर टू हैंड होल्ड योर आइडिया. तो आज ही अपने स्टार्टअप को रजिस्टर करें अगर अभी तक आपने नहीं किया है. लास्ट डेट 25 अक्टूबर है. सो यू कैन जस्ट पिंग योर व्हाट्सएप आइडिया ऑन risejhansi.smartcityjhansi.com. So thank you so much, all our viewers. Thank you so much, Pranay sir, once again. So till we meet next, you all take good care of yourself and keep learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the best, guys.